Hey there, it's Jennifer. I had a new stamp that I wanted to play with, and I thought I'd go ahead and shoot a video as a chance for me to share with you some new watercolor pencils that I found that I really love called Inktense. So I'll show you that. I also wanted to tell you the story behind this stamp. This stamp set was created by Christina Werner when we were at a retreat together, hanging out and creating, and she just drew this up, which I think is awesome. That dog in the back with the antlers on, that's supposed to be my dog Roxy, and it looks exactly like her. She's got red fur, and just exactly like her. The cat in front of it is her cat Manny, and the dog next to Roxy is Max, Kathy Rakusen's dog. So it's fun because I think it's fun to hear the story behind stamps sometimes. And this one was extra special because Christina just sat there in her, with her marvelous talent and just drew this up. So I think it's kind of fun. But you could change this up to be any cats and dogs. It's just kind of special that it's Roxy, Max, and Manny. So anyways, I'm going to also show in this video the background that I created to share a few tips, but I really wanted to focus on these Inktense watercolor pencils. They're really kind of unique, but you can use the tips and techniques that I share here with regular watercolor pencils. So this is the stamp set that Christina created, and I just went ahead and stamped this image with VersaFine black pigment ink. And then I put clear embossing powder on it. And I did this on watercolor paper. The reason I embossed on the watercolor paper is it helps stay in the lines, but you could just use this permanent black ink. And you could do this on regular cardstock if you wanted to. I just think watercolor paper works much better. I'll show you regular cardstock later on in the video. But I think having the embossed edge just helps with watercolor, but again, you could use just regular black permanent ink. So these are the Inktense color pencils. They're unique from other watercolor pencils in that they're very thick. They have a very high concentration of pigment, and it has this great firm texture. So you could color really firmly with this and use them as colored pencils, or you can add a little bit of water and make it more like a paint, or you can add a regular amount of water and make it like watercolor, which I'm going to do today. Now there are many fancy things you can do with these, but I'm just going to show you a quick and easy way to use them. And I'm also going to speed up the camera here, so it's going to be a little fast, but I just wanted to keep this video a little bit short. So I went ahead and I scribbled heavy around the edges of the dog and then light on the inside. And then I'm going back with another shade of brown just to add a little bit of variation in the color. So you can do whatever you want to mix these. The color is very thick and heavy, so the paint and the blending is so easy to do. Sometimes I have trouble with watercolor pencils. It takes a lot of work for me, but these are much more forgiving. You can see how you get intense color, and I barely put any pencil down. If you colored this with even more pencil, you can get like this rich, thick pigment, almost like a paint watercolor that you could even do on like a craft colored cardstock and get solid coloring on top of a craft. So you just keep going over it, adding water, and you get this blending that's just great. And I love the look of watercolor, that it's hand painted as opposed to Copics, which can give you a really solid look. So I think the watercolors are quite fun, and these seem to be more forgiving than other brands of pencils. Again, there are many things you can do with these, but I find that just doing quick watercolor is the easiest. So I'm just going to go ahead and do Max here with, I'm just scribbling a bunch of yellow pencil on him. Then I'm going in with some brown and adding a little bit of shading. You could do some really intense shading very easily and highlighting with these pencils, but I'm just going to do some basic coloring. So I first go through and add some water on the heavy edges where I have the heavy color, and then I get more water on my brush and I blend it all in. Now I am using a water pen, but I don't actually have water in it. I'm just dipping in some water that I've sprayed on my table here. So you just keep going back, and if it dries and you don't like it, you can go back and add more water. It's really very easy to use. You can also pick up color by touching the wet brush to the tip of the pencil. That gives you kind of more control, and I just wanted some dots of color, spots of color on this cat. So by picking it up directly from the tip, you can get more control that way. So it's just another fun way to use them. And since these colored pencils have a lot of color in them, they're very intense, you can easily mix colors and create your own if you want to. So I'm going to go ahead, you can see here this is really thick. Look at this red. It goes on so nicely. This is another way to do it. Pick up color from the tip, add the heavy color where you want it darkest, and then go pick up more water on the brush and just kind of blend it out, and you can get some nice highlighting there. So the sky is kind of the limit with these. This is another way you can do it. I'm adding water to the scarf first because I wanted this to be really watercolory. I added a little bit of water to the scarf first, and now I'm going in with color on my brush. And you can see it start to blend on its own because the water's already on that paper. So I'm just kind of going and adding the dark and then adding more water in my brush and pulling it to the lighter areas. And you can see how quick and easy that blending is. And when this dries, you get a great watercolor look. And you can see I'm actually mixing two greens together here. It's very easy to mix colors with these pencils because the ink is so intense. They call these pencils kind of like an ink and pen pencil. It's a little bit different than regular watercolor, and I just think it's much easier to use. And then I decided to go crazy and add some blue onto these reindeer antlers. I don't know why, I just thought it'd be kind of fun. Now I wanted to also show you some other ways to create with these pencils. And one is that you can really get great fading from vibrant color to really light color, which some people get with Copics, but I find it's hard to do. So I find with these watercolors you can really do that. So you get the dark color around the edge and the really light in the center. And that's so easy to do with these pencils. So what I do is I just scribble some color right around the edge. I'm just going to put color around the edge of the cat here. I'm not spending any kind of time to make this look perfect. Then you go in with your water and you just color, get the color onto the brush around the edge by coloring around the edge, and then just pull towards the center, adding more water to the brush so that it's more watered down in the center. And look, they're quick and easy. You have some dark color on the outside and really light on the inside for some great highlighting. Now, if you don't have watercolor paper, you can also use these on cardstock. So I colored the same dog in with the same pencils, really quick and easy. And this is just regular white cardstock. And I'm just going in and blending it the same way. The advantages of watercolor is that you can keep going over and over it and the paper doesn't fray on you. But I found that with these, since they blend so easily, I have no problem on regular cardstock either. So you can see that it works just fine on the regular cardstock, and you get some great look of texture with these pencils. Now again, you could do these techniques with regular watercolor pencils. I just find these are much easier to use because they have such intense color. Now I also wanted to show you, I already colored Max in with some browns, but I'm going in with some pinks, and look at how easily you can add a little bit of color to it because it's such intense color. So I just add a little pink to his belly. So there you have it, a really quick and fast introduction to Inktense colored pencils. There are many other things you can do with them, and I'll try to show you in some future videos. I know you can even color on fabric with them. I mean, really, there are a lot of techniques. But if you're looking for a watercolor pencil that's easy to use, these might be exactly what you need. So I wanted to show you a few other things on this card, especially their eyes. I really like adding black enamel accents for the eyes on little guys like this. This is the black enamel accents from Ranger. It's inexpensive and a great product. The trick to using them is to squeeze a little blob out and then slowly pull the tip up until the little string breaks away. Otherwise, if you pull away too soon, that little string may land on your paper. So you want to just pull away quickly, and it forms into a perfect little ball on its own, and they're great for little eyes on little cats and dogs or other little critters. Another fun product to use is this Ranger Distress Stickles Rock Candy. This goes on really wet, but when it dries, it looks like just little pieces of sugar on your project. It's so pretty. It's great for a little fuzz on the hat here or for snow, which I'll show you in a minute. So I'll just let that dry. I also wanted to show you this background. I did some white stamping on craft paper, and I think that gives a really warm and cozy look. This background was created using these W+9 stamps. They're some new background stamps, and you can form any kind of background pattern with them because they're just borders. I think that's a great idea. I'm using Memories Unicorn ink from Hero Arts. This is a white pigment ink. I love this white pigment ink on craft. Another favorite is Colorbox Frost White. Either is really good. And I'm going to start at the bottom. I'm using a stamp press, which helps the kind of wiggle into perfect placement every time. So I'm going to stamp at the bottom and then remove it, ink up again, and stamp again. Now I'm using this on Desert Storm craft cardstock. It's like a light craft. It's really pretty, but this works great on a dark craft also. So using the stamp press, I can easily line these up. Sorry, I'm kind of off camera here. Line these off and stamp again. Now the trick with this white ink is to make sure that you give it time to dry or heat set it, or that this ink will smear, but it's great for getting really good white color on a dark color cardstock. So you can see the pattern that I built up for the background there. It's really kind of fun what those border stamps can form. Next, I wanted to stamp the look of snow onto the background for our little critters. So I'm using soft pool ink in this awesome background stamp from Impression Obsession. And this background stamp you can stamp either direction, vertical or horizontal, because it's a big square stamp, which I think is really fun. I'm just going to stamp this onto some white paper here. I'm not real sure what size I wanted yet, so I just went ahead and did it on a big scrap, and I'll just trim it down. But you can see that's a great subtle texture that would work for snow or for sky or for anything you want. So I trimmed this down and matted on some teal cardstock, and I cut a little snowbank for the bottom that I put on with some foam dots just to add a little bit of dimension. And then I went ahead and glued our little animals down tucked behind that snowbank, and I'm just going to glue this onto the card. Real quick and easy to put together. I thought it was fun to combine that bright colored stamped image with that warm background with the white ink on the craft. Now I have the rock candy stickles again, and I'm just going to squirt a blob on to the snowbank here and rub it around with my fingers. Now this is going to look really wet and kind of sloppy, but when it dries, it's awesome. It looks like just a bundle of sugar attached to your card. It doesn't come off. It's really quite pretty, and it's less ostentatious than a glitter. It's very subtle and really perfect for a snowbank or fur or anything like that. So there you have it, a fun little card using the Inktense pencils. Again, these pencils can be used for all kinds of things, backgrounds, fabrics. I'll be back with some other videos showing some of these techniques in the future. If you have any questions, please visit my blog, and thanks for watching.